guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another race reaction for the 2022 season. And today we're talking about the Canadian Grand Prix. And I have mixed feelings about this one, I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love Canada. Canada is my favourite circuit on the calendar. But I just think for modern F1 it's not the best, and especially with this year's cars with the wideness and the heaviness, I just don't think it didn't produce a fantastic race, unfortunately, but there were still some massive talking points, so let's get into it. So we'll start off at the front then, and Red Bull once again take another victory, their 6th in a row this year, and Max Verstappen took it from Carlos Sainz, who was hunting him down for the last 10 laps. I would say it was a dominant performance, but I'm sure Max was a little bit cacking it coming to the end of the race, but apart from that he looked in control of the whole weekend. Qualifying he was dominant in, so yeah, fair play to Max Verstappen, and once again just extends his advantage in the championship lead. 49 points now clear of his teammate Sergio Perez, so yeah, not lots to do for the rest of the guys, but yeah, once again Perez just absolutely dominant, Verstappen absolutely dominant. And Perez, on the other hand, had a dismal weekend after having such a good races in Baku, Spain and Monaco. It just all went downhill, crashed in qualifying, and then obviously had a reliability issue during the race, and probably a little bit more concern for Red Bull. We don't normally see many top teams having all these reliability issues, but it's spicing up the championship and it's making it entertaining. But now Max is 49 points ahead and looking like he could really take this championship away. So next up is Ferrari then, and Carlos Sainz, like I just mentioned, had a really good weekend really, obviously with Leclerc being out of the running due to the engine penalties he was going to take this weekend. It was all down to Sainz really, and he did put up a really good fight, qualified 3rd on the grid, and yeah, really, like I said, has some quite good race pace. It seemed he more or less stayed with Verstappen the whole entire race, and then those last 10 to 12 laps, really trying to hunt him down. Unfortunately, didn't quite have the edge coming out of the hairpin. The Red Bull is just too damn quick in a straight line, and even with DRS, slipstream, Sainz just couldn't get past, unfortunately. But a very good performance from Sainz, and I'm sure that performance will definitely give him some more confidence going into the rest of the season. And Charles Leclerc, like I mentioned as well, took the engine penalties earlier this weekend, so he was going to start from the back anyway, but had a really good race. Took a while to get going. He didn't really make up many places at the beginning, but yeah, managed to claw his way back up to 5th place, so a really good job from Ferrari, and a lot of slow pit stops as well, and Ferrari were one of them, kept staying around the 5-second mark for a pit stop, which is normally about 2.5 nowadays for the average sort of stop. So I know these tyres are heavier and stuff, but we saw a lot of teams, especially McLaren, making a lot of mistakes. A great day for Mercedes. Back on the podium once again is Lewis Hamilton, and George Russell in 4th place. Yeah, Hamilton seemed very in control, and the Mercedes didn't look like it was porpoising an awful lot, and it also looked like it had some decent race pace as well, especially in the early phase. He was more or less able to stay with Verstappen and Sainz, so really, really good to see from Mercedes. And George Russell risked it all in qualifying, obviously with the wet conditions. Q3 put on the slick tyres right at the end. He had to gamble it, I suppose, and unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, but he started 8th and now finished in 4th, and once again another top 5 finish. So it's I think it's 8 out of 8 now for George Russell in the top 5. So yeah, fantastic result from Mercedes, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can see them right in the mix with Ferrari and Red Bull. So next is Alpine then, and I think, do you know what, they're going to be very disappointed, because although they had a really good race and they did seem to have a good race pace, Fernando Alonso was obviously the main talking point of the weekend, qualifying on the front row for the first time since 2012. Which feels like an absolute age ago. Well, it was probably, yeah, 10 years ago. But nevertheless, really good result for Alonso. But the race just went downhill for him. He got a really bad start. The lights went out really quickly this weekend as well. But that probably caught him off guard, maybe, I'm not really sure. But didn't get the best start. Sainz got past him. He was down into 3rd, then Lewis got past him. And then, obviously, we had the 2 virtual safety cars, and then for some reason, Alpine just didn't decide to pit Alonso for whatever reason. And then he was sort of stuck behind Ocon, getting quite frustrated. And then after he came home in 7th place, he then got a penalty for weaving on the straight to defend against Valtteri Bottas. So it went from down here, down here to down here. So unfortunately for Alonso, finished in 9th in the end. So still points, but it could have been a lot more. And I think he sort of knew that as well. And Esteban Ocon, once again, had a really good race. Very consistent drive from Ocon we're seeing at the moment, sort of scoring points every single race at the moment. So it's really good to see. So 6th place for Ocon. And that Alpine has got some serious pace. I think they could be one to challenge for best of the rest at the moment. They're looking really good. Next up is Alfa Romeo then, and Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou both scoring points. And it was great to see. They had some really good pace. And Zhou once again really proving that he has got the pace. And he is... But this is why Alfa Romeo signed him. And yeah, really outperforming Bottas outperforming Bottas a little bit more than we have. Bottas has seemed to dropped off a little bit. I'm not sure if that's down to the car or just him losing it. I'm not really sure, but it's great to see Guan Yu Zhou up there and really giving Bottas a really good fight. But yeah, a really good result for Alfa Romeo, double points finish. Another up and down weekend for Aston Martin. Lance Stroll finished in 10th place and Sebastian Vettel in 12th. I think Vettel was very annoyed in qualifying, as you can heard on the radio. He was very upset, and yeah, that Aston Martin did look like it had some decent race pace, and Stroll was in the mix more or less the whole entire race, crane in between the trains and stuff that were going on down the back straight and stuff with the DRS, but managed to get a point in the end. And yeah, Vettel... yeah, didn't really see a massive amount of him, I don't believe. But yeah, there or thereabouts. But unfortunately, didn't convert into points. So next up is McLaren, and I don't know what's going on with McLaren at the moment. One weekend they look like they're in contention to be best of the rest and really scoring some good points. And the next they're just anonymous. Like, where were they this weekend? They were absolutely... nowhere. Obviously, Lando did get a little bit unlucky in qualifying with the engine misfiring, had to come into the pits and couldn't go again, unfortunately. And then Daniel Ricciardo qualified 9th, but just their race pace just didn't seem any good. And even without the bad pit stops, which I'll get onto in a second, they just didn't really look like they were going to challenge that much. And then obviously what really ruined their race was the double pit stop. So Ricciardo came in first, wasn't the fastest of stops, kind of held up Norris a little bit. And then when Norris came into the stop, just absolute disaster. No tyres ready, wrong tyres, I'm not really sure what it was. McLaren had no idea what they were doing, and it kind of reminded me of 2019 when Mercedes had no tyres ready for, I think it was at Hamilton. Just an absolute disaster for McLaren. So yeah, Ricciardo finished 11th outside the points and Lando Norris 15th place. Just an absolute shambles for McLaren, and they've really got to sort this out. This inconsistency is just really frustrating, to be honest. So next up is Williams, and Albon had some really good pace this weekend, it had to be said. I think he made it through to Q2. I think he qualified 12th and finished in 13th. Had some really good pace. Kept some of the guys behind again because, like I said, they were in a DRS train. But it was good to see. He seemed to be enjoying himself out there. And yeah, having a good fight with the midfield, which was great to see. And Latifi, once again, didn't see anything of him. Just anonymous down in P16 behind Magnussen, in front of Magnussen, which I'm still not really sure how that happened. Obviously, we'll get on to Haas in a second. But yeah, no points for Williams, but still looked like they had some decent pace. So next up, AlphaTauri then, and once again, I think there'll be a team that will be a little bit disappointed after having a really good result in Baku. Just an absolute dismal race for them this weekend. So Gasly had to sort of lift and coast early on in the race due to, I think, overheating issues or something to do with the car not being quite right. He finished in 14th place, and then Yuki Tsunoda unfortunately crashed out of the pit lane after he just made his stop, just completely locked up, went onto the grass and hit the barrier, and that was race over for him. Brought out the safety car to the end, which is why we got that amazing sort of intense finish towards the end. So thank you to Yuki for that. Otherwise, I think it would have been a pretty dismal Grand Prix. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda binned it in the wall, and no points for AlphaTauri. And finally then, we'll talk about Haas, which I feel like they're going to be absolutely gutted with the result this weekend. Obviously, getting their best overall team performance qualifying with 5th and 6th. It was looking so perfect for Mick Schumacher. But unfortunately, Magnussen made a really good start alongside Hamilton. But I just think he needs to be a little bit calmer on the opening laps. You know, you can't win the race or you can't score points on the first lap. So I think he just needs to calm it down a little bit. Don't do anything silly. Just keep it clean. And yes, I know that, you know, he made a good start and he wanted to get the position. But, you know, when you're in a little worse car than the Mercedes, you want to make sure that you're maximising the amount of points that you can because you're in a worse car sort of thing. So, unfortunately for him, he had front wing damage, got the orange and black flag, which means you have a bit of your car is in danger, basically. It could cause danger to the others, so you have to pit. And that's what he was forced to do, and then unfortunately didn't have any sort of pace to come back through the field, which is why he finished behind Latifi. And then Mick Schumacher, once again, was in the points, looked like he was really enjoying himself, really good pace, and then unfortunately had a reliability issue, which caused him to retire. So no points for Haas after what was a fantastic qualifying. So there we go, guys. That is it for the race reaction for the 2022 Canadian Grand Prix. Like I said, I absolutely love the Canada circuit, but unfortunately I just don't think it's quite good enough for modern Formula One. And I hate to say it, but it's true. I just think the last few years we've had there, obviously we had the controversy in 2019, but 2018 I think was one of the worst races we've ever seen there. There was hardly any action. But yeah, that could just be my opinion. I hope, don't get rid of it, anything. Just, I don't want to see it go off the calendar or anything like that. But I enjoyed the race still. Like I said, there were still some talking points and dramatic moments. And like I always say, guys, make sure you leave all your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, because I'm always intrigued to see what you guys have got to say about it. So if you have enjoyed this video as well, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well, because we're heading to Silverstone in 2 weeks time, and I cannot wait, because it's also the release of the actual F1 game as well that weekend, and then I'm going on holiday as well, so I'm looking forward to that. But nevertheless, guys, I will see you all again in the next one. Take care.